Hello, people. It's been quite some time since I last filmed because I've been going after some of my hobbies. And actually, that's the topic for today, which is hobbies. I always feel like if I say my hobbies, it has to be something good, something impressive, something productive, because it's a hobby, but it's also something you actively do. So it's not just something you do to relax. What is if it is? When is something a hobby and when is something not a hobby? Watching Netflix, in a way it is a hobby because I do it a lot and I like to do it. Then sleeping is also a hobby. Brushing teeth. Well, actually not, because I do brush my teeth, but I don't necessarily enjoy it. But if somebody asks you for your hobbies, it always has this connotation of it has to be something not special, but something, you kind of get what I mean? Something almost interesting, and not even interesting, just I think reading can also be a hobby. But reading is seen as a more productive or smarter hobby than watching Amazon Prime, than watching season after season of a TV show. That's something that annoys me a bit, because that I always feel like my hobbies are just stupid. And then there are people whose hobbies are sewing something, doing a certain sport, drawing, painting properly with a brush and stuff, or pursuing some other form of art, or just in general something like that. And then I come and I don't really have a distinct hobby, something that effectively gives me a certain personality trait almost. Do you kind of get what I mean? I don't know if what I'm speaking of makes sense, but it's just I almost feel when people tell me their hobbies, for instance, is sewing, and I like to watch Netflix, it's almost I feel their hobby is better than mine. I just don't like that aspect. And then sometimes you think, oh, certain hobbies are a waste of time. That's a whole other thing. Are hobbies a waste of time, or are they just something you really like doing? It's very subjective. I'll just key stick to the whole Netflix watching thing, because I think that's a good example of something that isn't traditionally seen as productive or as an effective thing, but everybody enjoys it and does it a lot, so it's a hobby in that sense. But isn't watching 2 hours of Fleabag, is that a waste of time, or is it just going after your hobby? Because I think a few people would argue, they enjoy it, but it's still a waste of time and they could be doing something more productive. But if it's your hobby, and your other hobbies, reading for example, you sometimes have the feeling you should be reading because it's a more productive or smarter hobby. But in the end, they're both hobbies. And what if you just enjoy actually watching Netflix more? You kind of get what I mean? It's just something that annoys me a bit, because in that sense, I'd be wasting a lot of my time. But it's not a waste of time. I anyways don't really believe in waste of time, or seldomly, let's say that. Because even if you're studying something, or you waste time doing something that could have been done a lot faster, even if you waste your time organizing something, or finding a way, if you get lost somewhere in the streets and you have to find your way on Google Maps and you waste 20 minutes. To me, that's not wasting 20 minutes. Whilst it probably would have been more effective if you would have found your way right away, it's still one, you kind of improved your skills on reading Google Maps. You probably also, if you walked in this direction rather than this direction, now know what is in the direction you wouldn't have gone in if you wouldn't have gone the wrong way. So you kind of still take something out of that waste of time. I think exceptions are studying with me, or when you organize something and then you realize it's a mistake, and not that type of mistake where you learn something out of it. You make a mistake in doing your math problems and then you realize you've done a mistake and then you learn out of that mistake, but more just a waste of time where you, for instance, you write something or you copy something that doesn't require a lot of thinking, where you can profit off the experience itself, but you just do something and then you have to trash it all and you can start from scratch in a totally different way, and what you've previously done is absolutely useless. And so that's my stand on waste of time, that things are often not a waste of time. Also sleeping, people who can't fall asleep easily, they may waste an hour of time trying to fall asleep at night, but unless it's that restless, I just want to fall asleep, you're still thinking of stuff, so you still process things through your head. That makes sense. I don't know if it does. I also feel I haven't quite made up my opinion about this, because it might change tomorrow. If I can't sleep this night, I'm just really frustrated. And I think it's a waste of time that I couldn't just fall asleep easier. Yeah, that might actually happen. But it's just maybe also something I'm trying to tell myself to not feel that bad that I'm a bad sleeper. But back to the original point with hobbies, is that I feel all hobbies should be looked at as neutral. It's just a way of spending your time. Because while one may be more productive in the end, this is now going into all philosophy and stuff, but I think in the end, your life is here to be enjoyed, and you enjoy your life while going after your hobbies. So if you spend your time doing certain hobbies that are maybe not fulfilling you with that much happiness, in the end, you're still spending your life doing things that make you less happy than if you might waste your time, but you do something that you really enjoy. So like in total, you then derive more joy of your life. I don't know if this makes sense. It's just something I wanted to say because with thinking like, oh, I've done nothing today. I've just wasted my whole day doing nothing. I didn't do nothing. That's also one of my big pet peeves if I ask friends like, oh, what have you been up to lately? Oh, nothing. No, you've been doing something. Just because it's not necessarily something extremely intelligent or worth bragging about, that doesn't mean you didn't do anything. You may have showered. You may have, I don't know, watched a few episodes of Seinfeld. You may have cleaned up your closet, fold some laundry. I don't know, just like the little things. That's not necessarily a hobby, like folding your clothes isn't necessarily a hobby. But that's, again, like a different point. I'm talking in like weird ways right now. There's no cohesion at the moment. But I think I made my point clear. And if not, then you can always ask questions. Or you can leave me your opinion because I'd actually be interested in what other people think about this. But yeah, this is where I leave you. And I will go after one of my many hobbies that are more or less productive. And see you next time.